Hello, my friends. It's Ezra Levant here. March 30th is a date, and you're watching my daily 12 noon briefing surrounding the pandemic. I'm just going to click skip an ad. Apparently, there are live ads on our live stream. So thank you for being here. I see there's about 100 folks here. Feel free to click the share button. And if you haven't yet subscribed, please do. I'm going to have a balance for you today of three things. I'm going to start with a 1-minute clip of Canada's public health officer saying the most incredible and unbelievable thing about face masks, masks that have been the salvation of countries like Taiwan, Singapore, the city of Hong Kong. You would think Taiwan would have a huge coronavirus death rate. They have so many ties with mainland China. 800,000 Taiwanese people live in mainland China, 400,000 work there. There are constant flights back and forth, or have been at least. They speak the same language, they have the same ethnicity. But only 2 people in all of Taiwan, 25 million person population, have died. Only 2. And the number who have been sick is in the hundreds. It's not funny, but it's true. You're more likely to be struck by lightning than catch coronavirus in Taiwan. Isn't that the opposite of what you would think? It's because everyone wears face masks. Other things too. In fact, they've done over 100 little decisions like that that have practically stopped. In fact, fewer people have died from coronavirus than just about any other malady. It's not even a thing there. Masks. Well, here's what Canada's Hong Kong-born public health officer said about masks on the weekend. And the fact that she's from Hong Kong should make her skeptical of the World Health Organization, right? Because if you're from Hong Kong, especially an old-timer like she is, she would have grown up realizing how awful mainland China was compared to Hong Kong, which was free in many ways. I wish she had that Hong Kong, Taiwan, Singapore sensibility about her, but no, she is a creature of the World Health Organization. Look at this. This was, I think, from Saturday. Dr. Teresa Tam, Trudeau's hand-picked public health officer, giving her medical advice on masks. Take a look.
Next question in the room. This will be the last one.
There's some reports in the United States that the CDC is going to recommend this week that all Americans going out in public are going to wear masks. And while we've talked about masks before not being wholly effective for members of the public, if the CDC were to go ahead with this, is that something that perhaps will be headed to in Canada? And can you just speak about whether that's something we should be considering?
Well, we'll always evaluate new data as it comes along. Our position right now is that put a mask on someone with symptoms if they should need essential services. Like if you have symptoms, you have to stay at home. You should not be wandering around the community. If you need to get to a medical facility, at that point in time, that mask might actually be useful because you now have infectious droplets that you might send to others. But the key is to keep that 2-meter distance. Masks have to be utilized appropriately too. Most people haven't learned how to use masks. So there's many practical aspects of this. So our advice right now is there is no need to use a mask for well people.
Is that true? I mean, really, is that true? Is it true that there's no need for people who are well to use masks? Can I ask you a question? Why do we have masks then at all? Why do dentists put on a mask? Why do doctors put on a mask when they're in a surgery? I mean, they're well, aren't they? Why would they put on a mask then? Most people don't know how to use a mask. Really? Is it a complicated thing? Put it over your nose and mouth. Is it really complicated? Most people don't know how to use masks. Is it true that you only need a mask if you have symptoms, at which time she says you stay at home so you really don't need a mask. Is that true? Isn't the one thing we know about the coronavirus is that you can carry the virus in your body and spread it to other people before you show symptoms, before you're coughing, before you have a fever, before you have problems breathing. Isn't that why this virus is so successful? It has that 2 weeks of stealth mode where people can spread it around and they don't even know they're doing it. If everybody had masks who thought they were healthy, obviously you would get masks on people who thought they were healthy but were just carriers of the virus who didn't yet express it through symptoms. You know, there was a large women's march, sort of a pussy hat march, in Madrid, Spain, about a month ago. And the government, left-wing government, encouraged everyone to attend. They were all right next to each other in those big pussy hat marches. I don't know if you can grab a viz of that. Right when the virus was just digging into Spain. And that was the supercharged moment. I don't know how many people were in that march. It was probably in the tens of thousands. And what did you have in the crowd? Did you have 10 people with the virus? Did you have 100? Well, by the time that march was done, look at that. So this was when the virus was just finding purchase in Spain. And this is where it all spread. Now, if every single one of those people had masks on, I mean, I don't know if it would have spread for sure, but people wouldn't have spread it and people wouldn't have had it spread to them. The whole point is you don't know if you have it. But if everyone's wearing a mask, it makes it much less likely that you'll spread it or it'll be spread to you. Can you play the clip of Dr. Tam again and start about 30 seconds in? We don't need the question. I just want to play the answer. So listen again to her. She's basically saying, the dumbest thing she says is, well, people don't know how to use a mask. Yes, sister, I'm not sure if that's true. But listen to what she says. Well, if you have the virus, stay at home so you don't need a mask. And if you don't have the virus, you don't need a mask. Well, that's not true because you could catch it. But the biggest flaw here is, what if you have the virus and you don't know? Take a look.
Always evaluate new data as it comes along. Our position right now is that put a mask on someone with symptoms if they should need essential services. Like if you have symptoms, you have to stay at home. You should not be wandering around the community. If you need to get to a medical facility, at that point in time, that mask might actually be useful because you now have infectious droplets that you might send to others. But the key is to keep that 2 meter distance. Masks have to be utilized appropriately too. Most people haven't learned how to use masks. So there's many practical aspects of this. So our advice right now is there is no need to use a mask for well people.
I got a question for you. Do you think the real reason she says that you shouldn't wear a mask, do you think the real reason is because masks don't work? Or because you're too dumb to figure out which side goes on? Maybe you'd put it on like a hat or something. Maybe you'd put it on backwards so it covers the back of your head. How do you not put, listen, we're a country that knows how to put on hockey masks. We can figure out a little dental mask. Do you think that's really why she's saying don't wear a mask? Or do you think more likely she's saying don't wear a mask, you don't need a mask, because Canada doesn't have any masks? And so if she were to say, yeah, everyone should wear a mask, people would sort of panic and freak out a little bit. And, I mean, freaking out's not going to get you a mask. Maybe people would make some homemade masks, which you can do. But we would realize that Justin Trudeau gave away all our masks last month. He shipped 16 tons, that's 32,000 pounds of masks from Canada's stockpile to China. For free, by the way. That's how dumb he is. He didn't even sell them, he gave them. Right when the virus was arriving in Canada, during our Women's March moment, Justin Trudeau shipped our, can you put the headline up for that just as a proof point? Justin Trudeau shipped our masks to China. He didn't keep them even for our medical staff. He shipped them to China. So what do you think Dr. Teresa Tam's life expectancy, career endurance would be if she said what is so painfully obvious, that of course masks do work? If you're a doctor or a nurse in a hospital, how many patients do you see a day? Is it 20? I don't know. 30? If you work in a fast food restaurant serving people, those are still open, how many people do you see in a day? 100? Maybe more? So if you have the virus, how many people are you giving it to? And if you don't have it, what are the odds that someone's going to drive through your drive-through window or come into your restaurant and give it to you? I don't know the math on that, but I know it's greater than 0 odds. And I know from observing Taiwan, where everybody has a mask, like I said, only, can you find, Johns Hopkins has a world map. Can you find Taiwan's latest stats? I want to prove to people the shocking and amazing and inspiring truth about Taiwan. You know, I said to our team the other day, I said, what is the safest country in the world from this virus? By the way, Nunavut, so far, does not have any cases that they know about. Pretty small place, pretty isolated. No direct flights from China to Nunavut. Plenty of direct flights from overseas places to Vancouver and Toronto. The answer is Taiwan. Perfect. So go up to the top for so Taiwan. 308 cases. That's up 8. Okay, looks like they've had 5 deaths. I thought there was 2. I guess they had a couple more. And what's that very last thing, 0.2? What's that very last, per million population. Okay, scroll down a little bit. Yeah, 0.2 per million population. So when I said Taiwan only had 2 deaths, I correct myself. They've had a grand total of 306 cases, and apparently they have some extra deaths. They have 5 deaths. Of course, every death is a tragedy. But look how far low down they are. Remember, it's 0.2 deaths per million population. Now, scroll up and find Canada. Canada. So we have had 67 deaths. We are already 10 times more deaths proportionately than Taiwan. And the bug has only been here for more recently. And what's the American number? Scroll to the very top. America has 8 deaths per million population. First case reported in January. I want to show you one thing. Look at China itself. China claims to have only had 3,000 deaths, which would give it the same death rate as Canada, 2 per million. Do you believe that? Do you believe, as China has claimed, that there are almost no new cases? Look at the Chinese yellow number there, new cases. Do you think China, a country of 1.4 billion people, really only has 31 new cases? Do you really believe that? I'm sorry, I don't. Okay, thanks for that. My point is, when Dr. Teresa Tam says there's no point in using a mask, you're probably too stupid to figure out how to use it anyways. Most people don't know how to use a mask. Why are you insulting my intelligence? And then says, well, if you have the virus, you shouldn't be going out anyways. And if you're healthy, you don't need it. That's a lie, because if you wear it, you're less likely to catch it. If that's not true, why are all Air Canada flight attendants wearing masks? So they don't catch it, obviously. And why is everyone in Taiwan wearing it? And the only time kids in Taiwanese schools, I don't know if you can get an image of that again. The only time kids in Taiwanese schools are allowed to take off their masks is at lunchtime, but they put up these little plastic barriers, sort of a U-shaped cubbyhole almost, that plunks down on their desk or their cafeterias. I've seen two versions. I've seen where the kids eat lunch at their desk, and they put sort of I'm going to call it a spit guard around their desk. They eat their lunch there, so it's almost like they got that big mask. So that's the, look at those kids there. They're having their lunch. Taiwanese children eat their lunch at school. They only take their masks off when the dividers are up to prevent infection. Are there other photos on this page here? Scroll down. Is there anything? Okay, what does that say? Peggy Lin practices hand washing in a school in Taiwan. Schools opened after taking an additional 2-week break during winter holidays. Okay, scroll down. Oh, yeah, that's the picture I was thinking of. Look at that. That's a restaurant there. Taiwanese workers have screens so they can eat in isolation. Okay, so Family Mart. That looks like a food court in a mall. That's what that looks like to me. Do you see the little dividers there? Those are see-through. So you can still go and have some sociability, but you're not like spraying people by accident. You're not coughing or sneezing or anything. Is there anything further down on this page? Sign in 7-Eleven store that these alcohol bottles are limited to 1 per person. Okay, so they're taking steps against hoarding. Okay, can you scroll all the way up? Was there anything about this? There's lots of good photos on this page. Thanks very much. Can you find that video from the Taiwanese president? I just want to show that again. I know I showed that last week, but it's something to learn from. These tiny steps made a huge difference. Okay, I've been saying Taiwan had 2 deaths. It's at 5 now. And those are 5 tragedies. But you know what? That's 5 deaths in a country of 25 million people, and they had their first case back in January, I think. So January, February, March. 5 deaths in 3 months in a country of 25 million people. That is not an epidemic. 5 deaths, no one wants to die, but we're all going to die. 5 deaths in Taiwan at the height of the epidemic. That is about as close to perfect public health as you can get. And I say again, the country's still working. Kids are still at school. People are going to the office. So they achieved near public health perfection without destroying their economy. Let me ask you to put on the Hong Kong interview and then maybe keep looking for that Taiwanese president. So let me show you something over the weekend. So Taiwanese, do you agree with me that Taiwan is an amazing example? And let me just make a few more points. Taiwan's a liberal democracy. It's multi-party elections, vigorous free press. And I say that because I showed you those Chinese numbers from the People's Republic of China, the Communist China, and I don't believe them. I don't believe the official pronouncements out of Communist China any more than I believe the official pronouncements out of the old Soviet Union or out of Castro's Cuba, where he would announce a record sugar harvest. Like, they just lie, right? But Taiwan, I do believe they're telling the truth because it's such a high priority to handle health issues. They have a vigorous free press. They have opposition parties. They have the checks and balances in a modern liberal democracy, and they can throw the bums out, right? So I trust Taiwan's numbers. I don't trust numbers from Iran, because it's not a liberal multi-party democracy with a free press. I don't trust the numbers out of Communist China for the same reason. So don't you think Taiwan is a good lesson? I do. I'm about to show you a clip from a reporter based in Hong Kong, which is part of Communist China, but you know the saying, one country, two systems. So Hong Kong has a vigorous free press, has the rule of law so far, and they're dealing with the virus much differently than the dictatorship of China. So here's a Hong Kong-based reporter interviewing someone from the United Nations World Health Organization. I'm embarrassed to say it's a Canadian public health doctor. And she asks him the obvious question. What can we learn from Taiwan? Do you have anything to say about Taiwan? It's amazing, Taiwan. Watch this.
The WHO considered Taiwan's membership. Hello?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. I couldn't hear your question.
Okay, yeah. Let me repeat the question.
No, that's okay. Let's move to another one then.
Right, because I'm actually curious on talking about Taiwan as well, on Taiwan's case.
We decided to give Dr. Alward another call to follow up.
And I just want to see if you can comment a bit on how Taiwan has done so far in terms of containing the virus.
Well, we've already talked about China, and when you look across all the different areas of China, they've actually all done quite a good job. So with that, I'd like to thank you very much for inviting us to participate, and good luck as you go forward with the battle in Hong Kong.
Yeah, but Taiwan isn't China. Taiwan's an independent country. Like I said, it has its own government, its own army, its own borders, its own capital, its own flag, its own currency. The formal name of Taiwan is the Republic of China. It's not part of the People's Republic of China. I know that's confusing, but no more confusing than North Korea and South Korea. They're very different places. That World Health Organization doctor from Canada, what a shame he is. What an embarrassment to Canadians he is, isn't he? He won't even say the word Taiwan. Now, is that a medical opinion? No. He's a politician and he's working for the United Nations World Health Organization, which is dominated by China. So, if they won't even say the word Taiwan, you can imagine how Taiwanese people feel about the UN and the World Health Organization. They think they don't like us, they actually hate us, we can't trust them, we're going to have to go this on our own. And so they were basically left out of the cool kids club, right? Other than Israel, I think Taiwan is probably the most marginalized country in the world. It might even be more marginalized than Israel in terms of its mistreatment by other countries, because Communist China bullies anyone who has interactions with Taiwan. As you may know, Taiwan's not even allowed to have something in Canada called an embassy. They just call it the Taiwan Economic and Cultural Office or something. America's not much better, by the way. So Taiwan is not allowed to be part of this globalist architecture. And they want to be normalized, they want to be validated, they want to be part of the fraternity of nations. But the UN, which is dominated by China, especially the World Health Organization, says, no, you're not allowed in. That disparagement, that demonization, that denormalization, that marginalization, that national deplatforming is actually the best thing that ever happened to Taiwan. I wish we were kicked out of the UN, because maybe we'd think for ourselves and not accept Chinese propaganda. Here we go. Thank you very much. So that's the president of Taiwan. Now, was this what I tweeted? No, this is just the president of Taiwan. You know what, let me explain to you the video I was looking for, and I'm sorry, Justin, I threw you a curveball. The president of Taiwan went into a pharmacy, just like you and I would go to Rexall or, what's in the States, CVS or whatever. And just like you would go and get your prescription, you would go and get your allotment of face masks. And they're like 25 cents or something. Like, they're not expensive, right? The only reason they're expensive in North America is because of hoarding and, Trudeau shipped our stock. Like, it's supply and demand. People are worried, they're panicky. In Taiwan, there's enough masks for everybody because they sort of treat them like a prescription item, which I guess they are, right? If I want to keep you safe from coronavirus, I would prescribe for you, wear a mask every day. So, since they would be bought up if they were just like in a Walmart or whatever, or 7-Eleven, you would go, you know what, if you do it, if you go to the president of Taiwan's own Twitter page and click on media and scroll down, I know it's a ridiculous assignment, but it's a great little video. And I remember watching it about a month or so ago, and I thought, why are you talking so much about such a trivial thing? And they were making such a big deal about their system. Well, now I get it. On the weekend, I drove around town here in Toronto, big city, trying to get a mask. A fancy N95 mask or a not so fancy dental mask. Yeah, good luck with that. I went to the Home Depot, obviously none there. I asked the guy, he didn't know where anywhere in town. And you really gonna buy one from China online? First of all, get ready to pay extortionate prices, and second of all, who knows if they're counterfeit or if they're any good. So this is obviously a problem that the Taiwanese thought about. So they said, okay, we're going to manufacture masks by the gazillion, and look how they did it. So thanks, Justin, for finding it. Let's play the video that I first saw on the president of Taiwan's Twitter feed, and I just laughed. I thought, you're making such a big deal. You have this whole complicated system for giving me a 25-cent mask, a day in the life of a pharmacy. So this is like your little corner store pharmacy, right? And is there sound on it? Oh, it's Taiwanese sound. So so you put in your national health card and it checks who you are. This program was really it's pretty intuitive, they're saying. It verifies the number, automatically sets the number of masks you can buy. We then have to press purchase. Once it's confirmed, you're good to go. So that whole process took about 30, tells you how many masks in the last 7 days. Ask the president, yes. Someone's bought masks within the last 7 days. A warning will pop up telling you that this person may have bought masks on this date in this location. The system will tell you everything, what day, what time. The government system distributes masks to each pharmacy, and once we finish disinfection, putting 3 face masks in each envelope. So there you go. We use this little space to stamp our pharmacy's information, so if someone has questions, they can come ask us. They're obviously wearing face masks too. There's all sorts of medicines. Someone gave so now they're showing it, someone gave their healthcare card, they're getting their masks, they checked the masks, I got my supply. There's the mask being shipped to them, obviously made in Taiwan. That's a lot of masks. Someone might hoard those on their own, right? I heard that it's common for people, that's the president, they still need rest, but when work comes in, most people on the internet are telling you to get some sleep. When they start lining up, I'm responsible for standing outside and telling them not to line up so early. People were lining up for more than 2 hours. But once the supply of masks, I started telling people not to come early. Now usually people, half an hour. So a half-hour lineup. This seems like a really warm community. I want to thank our pharmacists for their hard work. This really is a kind of social service. So That's the president in the black jacket there, of course. Okay, so I didn't capture from there. I don't think they said the price of those masks. I think they're like a 10 cents or 25 cents. But people are so panicky, they wanted them. You heard that was published by the government in Taiwan. The pharmacists were saying people were lining up for 2 hours to get masks. I completely believe it. I probably spent 2 hours yesterday just driving around. And I surely would have spent 2 hours getting a mask. And I don't know if you heard them say, yeah, so what does that say? The power of Taiwan's small and medium enterprises, I think that's what SME means, never ceases to amaze me. I'm proud to announce that as of this week, Taiwan's face mask team now has the capacity to produce an average of 9.2 million masks per day and 10 million masks per day on weekdays. Yes, 10 million. Well, that's pretty good. Up to 10 million masks per day made in Taiwan. So you can trust the quality of them. I love Taiwan. I had the pleasure of being there. And as I said to a friend over the weekend, I think Taiwan is probably the most pro-American country in the world other than maybe Israel. Because they know the risk. I'd say Hong Kong is probably more pro-American these days, but Taiwan is right up there. They value Western values. They value freedom and quality. So the fact that they're making their own masks and not buying junk from communist China is really wise. Why can Taiwan make 10 million face masks a day and Canada can't? Well, because Justin Trudeau's hiding in his cottage. He's faking having the virus. He doesn't have the virus, and if he thought he would, he could be tested and have the result in an hour. He just is hiding out. Can I speak for one more minute on that video? I watched that video. What's the date on that tweet? Because I follow the president of Taiwan on Twitter because I'm interested in Taiwan. I love them. And I was cheering for them. And I noticed that this candidate, she was only very recently, March 7th. Okay, so not even a month ago. So I saw that and I thought, boy, that sure is a lot of rules and systems just for like a little face mask. Yeah, but what a good system, eh? Make sure no one's hoarding them. Because someone would buy all 10 million and then resell them, right? Probably ship them to communist China. Like someone could buy those 10 million, like if they're making 10 million masks a day, let's say they're $1 each. They're not, but let's just say they're $1 each. Okay, Taiwan's ability to contain the virus outbreak is a tribute to our unity and resilience. It also speaks to the collaboration between our government, people, and the many private businesses that have ramped up production to protect public health and make the impossible possible. And that's an image of them making the video, making the mask. I think that's a mask. Control of the virus outbreak as a model. So that's just a factory. I guess that's cloth there or something. They're stamping it. Other countries around the world envy. That's true. I'm envious. Are you not envious? So I guess those are individual face masks. Is that what those are? No one could have imagined just how amazing they are, because what should have taken half a year, we made in 25 days. So if they're announcing this on March 6th, although Taiwan and our industries aren't big, our collective power is amazing. So this is all the result of everyone's efforts. You are all members of our national team, and today I'm here as your leader to thank all the members of the team. So those are, I guess, all the companies, and she's just saying thanks to all of them. Everyone's so happy. I give 100%, says that young worker. But in all humility, we all give 200%. Hooray! Everyone has team spirit. That's what gung-ho means. And gives great effort. There is no you or me. Everyone helps get everyone else. And I believe it because they have no one else to help them. Who loves Taiwan? Not the world, not the UN, not the World Health Organization. It's truly amazing. I wish we had that factory in Canada, don't you? I wish we had that system in Canada where you could just pop by your local pharmacy, the Taiwan spirit, where you pop by the local pharmacy, you put in your card, they say, oh, yeah, okay, here's your 3 masks. Fair enough. It's like wartime rationing, which we had in Canada, the United States, and the UK. Let me say one more thing. Did you hear what she said there? So on March 6th, that video came out of this factory. And I think it was March 7th, Justin said that How It Works video came out. So she said that took 25 days to get that whole system in place. Did you hear that? I think I read that right. So go backwards. So in mid-February, they said, oh, we got to get this going. Let's retool our factories. So in mid-February, they do that. So March 6th, it's working. And they've had only 5 deaths. Of course, 5 deaths is a tragedy. But we're in the hundreds in Canada now, I think. I have to check that. 67 deaths. Thank you for correcting me. I wish we had that Taiwanese system here, but Justin Trudeau's still partying like a rock star. When did Trudeau go on his United Nations Security Council vote-seeking trip to Europe? Trudeau went to Ethiopia and Somalia. Yeah, right around there, February 8th, February 7th, February. So exactly when the president of Taiwan said, oh my God, the virus is nuts in China, it's going to come here, we got to get masks. Exactly when she was putting her emergency, her name is Ing-wen Tsai, or Tsai Ing-wen, so Tsai would be her last name, President Tsai, T-S-A-I. She's only been president very briefly. Actually, am I wrong on that? She won the election very recently. She was first elected 2016. Forgive me. I didn't even follow her until she won the most recent election. The President of the Republic increased share of the vote in 2020. So yeah, they only had their latest elections in January 11th. Forgive me for being a little bit off there. So she's been president for 4 years. She was just reelected in January. That's sort of when I started paying attention to her because she ran on a pro-democracy platform. So she was already president. Forgive my hiccup there. So in mid-February, she said, all right, guys, this Wuhan thing's really serious. We can't trust the World Health Organization. We can't rely on anyone else, certainly not on Communist China. We got to do this. They're making 10 million masks a day for a country of 25 million people. I guess you don't wear a mask when you're at home. You just wear it when you're out and about. And that little system, I saw that. I thought you're puttering. There's a Yiddish word, you're putchka. You're puttering. You're puttering. You put your card in, you get your envelope, you stamp. All that for a mask? Yeah. That's so someone doesn't buy them all up and resell them on Amazon. And, you know, you can pop by a drugstore once a week. I don't care how busy you are. You can pop by for 15 minutes. That's how Taiwan was saved. But our own Teresa Tam, Trudeau's deep state public health liar. Sorry, I'm calling her a liar because she's lying when she says masks don't work and you don't need a mask. She's lying. Because if were she to tell the truth, oh my God, we need masks, that would make people say, hey, Justin Trudeau, I know you've been playing house at home for, 18 days now, but maybe someone ought to look at making some masks in Canada. If Teresa Tam were to speak the truth about masks, Justin Trudeau would fire her, just like he fired Jody Wilson-Raybould. Don't you see that? All right, let me catch up here. Dr. Tam masks don't work. Oh, super chat. Let's take a break and do super chats. Did you send them to me by email? Okay, let me read my emails. So that's my thoughts on masks and how we're being lied to. Here we go, super chats. Holly Guy, $5, praying for you and the Rebel team. Love all of you. Keep up the real news. Thank you very much. Vince Access Geo, $20. Ezra, can Rebel investigate why 45% of the cases in Canada are in Quebec and most of those in Montreal? Is Montreal the closest major city to Roxham Road? Yes, it is the closest major city to Roxham Road. My own hunch is that would not be the source of it. I don't know why that would be Maybe there's people in Montreal that fly to Spain or Italy more than other parts of the country do. I'm just guessing, because a lot of the Chinese flights, of course, come into Vancouver or to Toronto. I don't know the answer. Greater demand, $7. Did you see any truth in the pictures of Trudeau wearing an ankle monitor? That's why he's still at home, like other celebs are wearing right now. That's news to me, and I don't believe that's the case. Hazel Hogan, £10. Thank you, Ezra, and your team for reporting the truth from Canada. Well, thank you very much, Hazel. Mike Epp, €5. Can China be forced to stop letting their markets continue to sell these foods that threaten the world? Well, of course, China is a sovereign country and a dictatorship at that. So it'll do what it wants to do. What we can do in response is set up our own rules of what we allow into our countries. That's reversing globalism and to some degree globalization. It means having a border. If they want to eat bats and other gross things that may carry viruses, then maybe we restrict who comes from China to Canada. Maybe we test them, maybe we quarantine them. Certainly we should be doing that now during the crisis, but if they want to keep eating bats, if that was indeed the source of the problem, then maybe we should block them en masse. It's not rare to block travel from certain countries, to require visas from certain countries, and to have conditions with those visas. If we were to want to fly to Taiwan right now, they'd have us in a 14-day quarantine. So why can't we do that for people coming into this country? Because people still are coming into this country. If you doubt me, take a look. Can we play David talking to people landing in Toronto directly from China? Here's David.
From China.
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering, did you go through any kind of enhanced screening measures coming through customs?
No.
Extra screening? I don't think so.
No?
No.
It's normal, just normal.
Oh, just normal, even though there's a global pandemic.
I didn't really notice, but I do get some papers.
Did anyone take your temperature here at the airport, ma'am?
No.
Did they take your temperature remotely, perhaps?
No, didn't.
No.
No.
Now, did they take your temperature at all or anything like that?
I didn't notice.
Do you think it's the screening is more rigorous in China than here in Canada? Is it stricter in China?
Of course.
Yes.
Yeah, of course. Of course, yeah.
Of course. Because how could it not be stricter? Some more super chats. Damon the Dam, it's $5. Can you show footage of China making masks in dirty conditions? Yeah, can you go to my, I think PhD parody, Harry Chen, had this super irritating video of a guy making masks in China and rubbing them on his shoes. Can you find that? I retweeted it. Yeah, there's the guy right there. Can you blow that up? Can you click expand on that? Yeah. So that is a Chinese manufacturer of face masks laughing and laughing and laughing, rubbing face masks on his shoes to sell to those stupid Westerners. Can you believe that? I absolutely can. Can you go to Jennifer Zhang's Twitter feed? You know what I'm talking about? I follow some Twitter feeds that give me Chinese video because I'm obviously not going to learn the truth from the Chinese state broadcasters or from Canada's state broadcaster or from most of the mainstream media, which really are indistinguishable from the Chinese embassy these days. Jennifer Zhang has a tweet where the manufacturer of thermometers in China jokes about sending thermometers to America that are preset not to show a fever when there's a fever. I retweeted that, or maybe you could find that. I would just, you can even do from Jennifer Zhang and then the word thermometer or something if you spell her name correctly. I just want to prove to you some of the insanity. So it's so wise for the Taiwanese people to make their own equipment, even if it's something as simple and low-tech as a face mask. A face mask is not a high-tech thing. That's just some sort of cloth. I don't know if it has special properties, if it's non-permeable or waterproof even in some way. I don't know. It's not a complicated thing. Now, to make 10 million of them a day is a bigger effort. But why would you buy anything from China if you could help it? Like you saw that super gross mask, and of course, China is hostile to Taiwan. They want to conquer Taiwan and subvert it. And President Tsai, who was elected in 2016 and re-elected in 2020, she ran on an explicitly pro-democracy, anti-Beijing platform. So they would send Taiwan damaged goods, dirty goods, infected goods on purpose. Yeah, thank you. So Jennifer Zheng, not sure if this is the fake thermometer produced by Zheng Xuandong in China, who suggests producing fake thermometers and selling them to the US so more Americans can be infected with the virus. You can preset temperature with the thermometer so the result is what you want. And then scroll down a little bit. This is Zheng Xuandong's suggestion. A forehead thermometer producer in China is talking about doing damage to the US, hit hard by the virus in a very Communist Party way. Zhang Xuandong, owner of Haofeng Electronic Technology Company in Dongguan, Guangdong Province, says chat group. So yeah, click on that. Forehead thermometer producers, which is 178 members, produce some fake products and sell them to the US. They, the thermometers, should read 36.5 degrees Celsius when the actual temperature is 39 degrees. In this way, more and more American people will be infected. Let's see it. And then there's a link to info about the company. Why don't you click that link? It's a little bit up. Yeah, it's probably in Chinese. Yeah, so I don't speak Chinese. But so that Jennifer Zheng, who's one of my favorite people to follow along with Harry Chen. Oh, Dongguan Haofeng Electronic Company. So I don't know much about any of that, but that's the identity of the company. It's been around for 3 years. Subsidized contribution in the billions, $1 billion yuan. I have no idea what $1 billion yuan is worth. All right, we don't need to see anymore. That's sort of like some company profile, like a Chinese LinkedIn. Joseph Cross, $5. I was stunned by the overreaction by Trudeau and Freeland when Donald J. Trump was going to send 1,000 censor troops to watch illegal trade. Something fishy up there. I'll show you a clip in a minute. Not a banned account, $2. Is it true Canada is leading the way in the fight? Can you tell me one way in which we are? Now, as you know, we've been covering Roxham Road in a way that no other Canadian media are covering it. In fact, we've been covering it that way for about 3 or 4 years. And we sent Cian Bexty down there from the Canadian side. We sent David Menzies down there from the Canadian side. And the last time David went down there, they wouldn't let him close to the border. And I thought, well, how do we know that the border's actually closed if they won't let us see? And doesn't that sort of prove that they're hiding something? So I know a buddy in New York, and I called him up. I said, hey, can you go? Because if we were to send Cian or David to Plattsburgh, New York, and then up around to take a look, they would have to be quarantined upon their return. So we could send a reporter down to the United States. I don't think America is quarantining Canadians for 14 days. Maybe they are. But even if we got in and videoed things from the south, we would be quarantined for 14 days upon coming back north. So obviously we can't have our reporters out of action for 14 days. So Ryan Katsu Rivera agreed to go to the border and film it. And do we have yesterday's? Sorry, the first one. Yeah. Okay, let's put the first one up. Here's Ryan going to show what it looks like.
Ryan Katsu Rivera here at Roxham Road. This is the very end of the United States, and right here is a sign that says road closed, and they make it pretty clear for you to stop and that you'll be returned back to the United States of America if you cross it. Justin Trudeau said that he would not take any more immigrants, but as it stands right now, over 50,000 have been taken in, and none of them have been sent back, none of them have been arrested. It's just been open, but Trudeau got a lot of pressure from people because of the quarantine and the lockdown due to COVID-19. They're saying, why is the border still open? So he promised that it's shut. Trump has said that he's going to take more precautions and have a little more security on this side, but there's a couple of vehicles, some cameras on there, some sort of solar paneling, and other than that, I haven't been greeted by anybody. There's a door open there. Maybe there'll be somebody to come out to talk to me if they, if they're wondering what I'm doing here or anything. But so far, I guess this is the road that they cross. I mean, that's kind of a fence. That's a barricade that you might see at the front row of a concert hall. Pretty unimpressive as far as security and patrolling goes. Just spoke with Ezra, and he informed me that this pylon-looking thing here is actually the point. On this side is America, on that side is Canada. So it's within my rights, I'm sure I'm being watched by some security camera, that this is the United States side. Actually, it does say it right there. United States, US. And on that side, I don't know if you can see it, it says Canada. So I am in America. This is law-abiding. Totally fine to do. What I'm noticing right off the bat here, I don't see any footprints in there at all. This is all just marshy type stuff. I don't know if... Oh, there we go. Oh, what's that? I'm getting bird calls. Cuckoo! I might have just initiated a drug deal of some sort. Oh, there is a car coming here, a police car. Oh, that is Customs and Border Control. I'm a reporter with Rebel Media.
There you go. Rebel Media.
Yes.
What part of New York? What brought you up here?
What's that? Well, I wanted to see if there was any extra border patrol due to the fact that the COVID-19 thing, Trump said that he was going to have like an extra presence here. And, just there's some Canadian reporters on the other side. Couldn't get too close, and they also didn't notice that there was too much of a difference with the presence there. I'm not going to get you guys on tape.
No. Matter of fact, you're going to turn it off right now.
Oh, okay.
You do 5 hours here.
Yeah.
I mean, this is something people do to just go home like everybody else. Essential travel. This is not essential.
No, it's the COVID thing?
Yeah.
If it wasn't, this would be fine.
No, it still would be fine. We don't like people just poke around here. They're aiding and abetting. People sometimes murder with a camera, right? Kill somebody in New York City, skip in the camera, we never catch them. All right? You have a good day.
You as well.
Well, that's that. Hopefully you heard some of that. But basically, they don't like people poking around here. I believe one of these guys hollered at me, and they went... Nobody popped out to talk to me. They're all smiling and laughing, I see. But one person went, caw-caw, caw-caw, a couple times. I guess that's it for me for today. Now, maybe tomorrow, I could come back. Signing off with this very special assignment from Ezra Levant, reporting for Rebel News, Ryan Katsu Rivera, out.
I thought he did a good job, don't you? And he has a second installment today on our website, which I encourage you to get. It's 12:54. Let me just say hi to a few more super chats. MDA, thank you, Ezra. Well, thank you. Holly Guy, praying for you and the Rebel team. Love all of you. Keep up the real news. Well, thank you very much. Aether X, have you read G. Allison's Destined for War, Thucydides' Trap? Phenomenal insight into the quickly escalating conflict between the West and China. No, I haven't. sounds highbrow. And I have to tell you that these days, my attention span is short, and I blame the Chinese government in the form of TikTok. You thought my attention span was short before, like Twitter, 280 characters? Well, TikToks can be as short as 15 seconds. We got 5 minutes left. That is enough to play about 30 TikToks. Did you get the one I just emailed you? So I'm going to play 4 TikToks. The first is, I'm looking out my window, and this is clearly meant for me. Take a look.
Hey, so you back, pimp. I'm a savage. Yeah. Classy, bougie.
Stay home if you sick. Come over if you thick. Play that one more time.
So you back, pimp. I'm a savage. Yeah. Classy, bougie.
See, that's TikTok. What is that? 5 seconds. Come over if you thick. Thick is a friendly way of saying fat, I'm pleased to say. I really prefer it to fat. Here's a funny British, what's the name of this British comedian? I don't know. I really like him. He's got a lot of great stuff. He does a funny series with another comedian. They travel through countries in Europe. It's a BBC show. They just do road trips, eating their way through these wonderful restaurants across Europe. And it's the banter, the two of them in a car. It's a great series. What's it called? The Trip, I think. BBC The Trip? Is that what it's called? Yeah, The Trip. Steve Coogan is his name. If you're bored, and I don't know if you are, if you're stuck at home, these two comedians, Steve Coogan's the one I want to show you, but another comedian he's with, they do a lot of impressions on the road, and they do the best Michael Caine impression out there. We'll play that in a second, but here's Steve Coogan with a funny little 5-second clip on how China wrecked everything. Now, this wasn't produced for the coronavirus, but the thing about TikTok is that people repurpose things and rehash things, and take a look.
But then, China happened. It must have seemed like the good times would never end. But then, China happened.
I like that Steve Coogan. I don't care what anyone thinks. Here's an image. Here's a quick video allegedly taken on the streets of Montreal. Now, I don't know if that's the case, but I was inspired by this. This is Plague. Yeah. We don't have masks like in Taiwan, but in the plague, 400 years ago, they wore masks too. They just didn't have fancy sewn masks. They would have wooden masks or leather masks, and sometimes they would put things in the masks that either they thought would stop the disease or maybe things that just smelled good. And so the masks would look a little bit like beaks. And they would have eye covers. It's pretty funny, but they were better prepared back then than we are now. You can't find a mask in Canada, let alone a mask that has goggles. So here's a well-dressed fellow who looks very distinguished, walking down the streets of Montreal, just rocking his plague mask. Oh, we're still loading it right now. But, it's really funny. Those medieval idiots, what did they know? Yeah, they knew put on a mask, which is more than Teresa Tam seems to know. Did you find it in my, if you click on my media, or even search from Ezra Levant, Plague, Plague, it should pop up there pretty quick. And then I think I have one more in there. If you search by media, you find it. I think I might have tweeted it on Saturday or something. And then I got one about a cat. And let me just see if there's any more super chats that I'm missing. How you doing over there? Any luck? So what do you think of Teresa Tam? We're just looking for the mask fit. I'll find it. Yeah, that's the one. That's the one there. Yeah. Look at that. Look at that guy there. Look at that. What is that? What is that? He looks very well dressed, as they so often are in Montreal. He's got a fancy coat with a collar or a scarf, I'm not sure. A very respectable hat. Why is he dressed like a bird? Well, that's not like a bird. That is a medieval style plague mask. What do you think of them apples? Ha ha, what an idiot, eh? Yeah, well, where's your mask and goggles, mister? Oh, that's right, Teresa Tam says you don't need it. Last one, can you find my cat video? You know the one I'm talking about? This is not my cat. I don't have a cat. I'm more of a dog person, I think. But, and I didn't really hoard toilet paper. I just didn't feel panicky about it. But here's some great toilet paper quarantine games to play if you're at home with a pet. Level 3. Can you pump up the sound on this?
Level up, level up, level 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Level up, 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 level.
That's pretty good.
4, 3, 2, 1. Level up, 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 level.
Yeah, that level 7, pretty good. So that's what I do in my free time, is I watch videos, nothing more than 15 seconds. I don't got the attention span anymore. 15 seconds is about right. Those 5-second videos, that's my safe space, 5-second videos. My friends, thank you for joining me today. There's so much we've got going on. We're doing real investigative journalism, I believe. That trip down to Roxham Road by our friend Ryan, I think that was good journalism. We have other things afoot that I don't want to tell you about till we're ready to show you. And I hope you learned a little bit about Taiwan today. And I hope you also are concerned, as I am, that we're being led by political idiots who say, don't wear a mask, you're probably too stupid to even know how to use it. Yeah, no, I'm going to side with President Tsai of Taiwan and say, we need masks. And frankly, I like that guy in Montreal. Maybe we can try and track him down. All right, it's 1:02. That's it for me until tonight's show at 8 p.m., where I'll go into greater detail on Dr. Tam and the government's deep state approach on healthcare. Until then, on behalf of all of us here at Rebel World Headquarters, to you at home, goodbye, and keep fighting for freedom.